What is up, Honey Badger Nation? Man, welcome to another episode of Expert Mentors Live, episode 206. And man, I'm excited for today's conversation. We had his partner in crime on a few episodes back, and we got to bring the whole team together. But man, Levi, welcome.
Thanks, John. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. It's I know we ran into each other in Denver at the Sprint, and I was like, "You're on my hit list," and I think I've got you, and wanted to bring you in. And just like I'd kind of mentioned, when we've got partners that kind of work together, I like to separate them out just to get different perspectives and different personalities and different perspectives. And so, it was great conversation with Travis. If you guys listening in didn't catch that, man, it's a must listen to, and I know today's going to be no different. But Levi, man, welcome. I would love for you to, kind of give the story, man. You've got an incredible story, kind of leading up to real estate, but I think it's definitely worth giving some context about you and who you are.
All right, cool. Yeah. Well, thanks, John. Thanks for having me. So the funny thing is that I think most of your audience is probably familiar with a guy by the name of Michael Reese. And the funny thing is I sold gym memberships with Michael Reese back in like 2001 at Bally Total Fitness. And so I just got out of the military, and I was looking for, I wasn't looking for a job at that point. I actually got an $8 an hour job, and I was not a good steward of my money in the military. So I came home mostly broke anyways. Worked an $8 per hour job, which I was just scraping by. But I wanted to stay in shape. I was like, well, if there's one thing other than paying for electricity and food, if I, my luxury item was a gym. I was like, let me just try to stay in shape. And so I called around. I was calling the local gyms, and I called a Bally Total Fitness, and this guy answers the phone. He's like, "Hi, this is Michael Reese. What are you doing? Who's this?" And I was like, "This is Levi." And he goes, Levi, where are you from?" And I said, "Levi, from Stephenville, Texas." And he goes, "Oh yeah, I'm from Stephenville." And I go, "Wait a second. I know everybody knows everybody in Stephenville. Michael, right. Definitely not from Stephenville." So then I got intrigued. I was like, well, who is this guy? Because did I just miss some random guy in Stephenville where I grew up? And so I went into the gym, and he sold me the most expensive membership with personal training on a 3-year contract when I was dead broke. And it was literally like a week's worth of my paycheck, just to pay for that thing. And I was pissed, because he closed me. And so the funny thing was I did find a job for $15 an hour, which was really cool. Then I thought I was rich. I was like, oh, I'm rich. I can actually maybe afford some gas in the house, But and so the thing was that I ended up losing that job. And so the first thing I wanted to do was cancel my membership. Well, if you know those gym memberships back in the day, they were ironclad. And so I went to Michael to cancel my membership, and he recruited me. He's like, "Well, why not just work for me?" And I was like, "Oh, well, okay, cool. I needed a job anyways." And so He got me in at the health club, and we started selling memberships. So, just to kind of fast track things, the funny thing was that, he really introduced me to sales. He took me to my first Brian Tracy event, and that's where I learned self-development. I was 21 years old at the time, and I thought this was super cool. And I remember the weekend he came back from meeting Jay Kinder at the lake, and he was like, "I'm getting into real estate." I was at the health club and ready to rock and roll and work. He's like, "I'm getting into real estate." And I was like, "Okay, cool." And he's like, "Yeah, I met this guy. He's got a boat, and I don't care. He's got a boat. So I'm getting into real estate." And I was like, "Okay." I was like, "Cool." I just was never interested in being a real estate agent. And so, that was that. He got in around 2002, I believe he got licensed. And then he tried to get me into real estate, of course, over the next 2 years. And I respectfully declined for 2 years until he talked me into doing that. And so I actually got licensed in 2004. But what happened was I was still in the reserves. So whenever I got out, I stayed in the reserves just to do the weekend a month and have a little extra money and stuff. And so I got licensed. I went through that, and I had my license about 1 week. I trained with him at KW for literally like 1 week. And then I got a phone call that said, "Hey, Levi, it's Captain Smith. You're getting deployed to Iraq. Report to Fort Hood in 4 days. Go pack your bags and say your goodbyes." And literally it was just like that. 4 days later, I was down in Fort Hood, and I got deployed for 18 months. So I was gone. And of course, my license expired, but over that 18 months, I ended up spending a year in Iraq. And I got home in 2006. And what I realized over that deployment was I was like, I still don't want to be a real estate agent. Michael just, he talked me into that. He sold me on doing that. I don't want to do that. And so my license expired, and I didn't reach out to Michael at the time because I knew he was going to push me into. So I kind of went my separate way at that time. And so I got into other businesses. I sold cell phones at Costco, did really well there, but then I got recruited to a pharma company, and I did really well there until I got really sick. So I came home from Iraq with a digestive disease that nearly killed me. So in 2013, I ended up losing 50 pounds in a single month, and I was bedridden, I was disabled, and it nearly killed me. And so it was the worst time in my life. I was 33 years old. I died a slow death every single day. I literally thought, there's no way I'm going to go to sleep tonight and wake up the next day. I mean, my body was so broken. And that went on for 3 months. 4 different GI doctors, they threw the kitchen sink at me. And then it was really a natural doctor. I say by God's grace, I found a natural doctor, and the natural doctor was like, well, hey, let's just change your diet and put you on some vitamins. And I was like, wait, what? And so we changed my diet, put me on some vitamins, and I kind of started to get better. And then I got a little bit better. And then the next thing you know, it ended up taking me a full year to recover. But I was able to recover 100% without medication or surgery. And now it's been 10 years, and I've never had a single sign or symptom of that issue, which medical doctors told me I'd have an autoimmune disease for the rest of my life, and I'd be on medication. And really their solution when I was sick was they wanted to cut out my colon. That's how they were going to cure me. So thank God, still have all my organs today, and I've never had a single issue. I just, it's been 10 years now. And I feel better and healthier than ever. Actually, I just went through my whole consultation and everything with Gary Brecka, went through all that, had my gene test done, my blood work done. And Gary Brecka told me this whole time I've been operating at 60%, and he's going to get me to 100%. So I'm like, well, if I've done this much at 60%, I can't wait to see 100%. And I tell you what, I'm feeling better than ever. But I ended up losing that pharmaceutical job because of my sickness. They wanted me to come back to work after 90 days. I wasn't able to. So I moved into financial services. I got licensed, and I got contracts with Dallas ISD, and I started working with teachers on their retirement planning. So that was very lucrative. And so it was really a great time in my life, because I also realized I had never traveled anywhere in my life. And then I went on a travel tear. I visited 24 countries inside of 3 years. And I had a teacher's schedule, but I had like 5 times the teacher income, So, I was doing like 250,000 a year. Thought that was great, but I also worked only 9 months of the year because I only worked with teachers during the school year, And so during the summer, I would take summers off. I mean, I traveled for 12 weeks one summer, and I was just living life, and it was, I reconnected with Michael again. We kind of kept an eye on each other over the years, but mostly our separate ways. And in 2019, he was like, hey man, you got to check out this EXP thing. And I was like, bro, I still don't want to be a real estate agent. Okay. And he was like, just check it out, And so, so I checked it out, and I was like, okay, yeah, it makes sense. I get it. And so I renewed my license in 2019 because when I saw it, I saw the business model, and I still didn't want to be a real estate agent. So I renewed my license to get into EXP at that time, but I did absolutely nothing. I mean, I had no intention to buy or sell real estate. Really, Michael talked to me about agent attraction, and I thought, okay, that's a cool concept, but I never really did it because I didn't feel right kind of doing it. And that was a limiting belief on my point, but I was like, well, I haven't even sold a home. So how am I going to attract people, into this brokerage? So I just kept doing my business, my financial services, because I was very comfortable, and that's the other thing. I was very comfortable. So, when you're comfortable, you usually don't change or do much when you're comfortable. Right. And so, it was funny because people invited me to their Key West mastermind, where I initially met you the first time in 2019, and I spoke there about financial services. Right. And so I still had zero desire to get into real estate. And then April of 2020 comes around, and the whole world shuts down, and all the schools shut down. So my whole access to my clients was cut off completely. And so I sat there over the summer of 2020 asking myself, okay, I'm 41 years old. how do I start over without starting over? You know, where is this world going? What's going to happen here? And that's what I didn't understand. And so over the next 5 months, what's funny is that Michael's still coming back to me. Hey man, you know, let's go, let's get into some real estate. And I was like, dude, I just don't want to be a real estate agent, you know, because the main thing was scared. I was looking at Michael, looking at Jay, you know, I met Veronica Figueroa, Dan Beer, Kyle Whistle, these guys at that mastermind, you know, and I was looking at them and I was just like, God, everyone's light years ahead of me in real estate. So, you know, after you taste success, starting over in an industry where you know people that are highly successful at the top of their game, it's daunting, right? It's a little scary. And I was like, that was kind of what really held me back, because I was going, okay, I've done well in my previous industries and businesses, but I didn't know if I had it in me to start over again, you know, especially at 41. I thought, man, I'm really screwed. And I thought, but I have just enough money where I could probably go live on a small Caribbean island, you know, and drink beer and tacos for the rest of my life, you know, and just live a very, very, you know, and I thought about that. I thought maybe I just need to get out of here. And, you know, I don't know, maybe this isn't for me, but I dug in over the summer of 2020 and just really started to research and try to figure out, first of all, how not to become a real estate agent. So,
you went down the path of seeking everything else. You said something right there, though, and I think a lot of people fall into this, and it's that, you know, the gap and the gain concept. And, you know, immediately you get into, you know, you look at kind of this opportunity and you immediately start comparing, you know, yourself, you know, to them, and realize, you know, you're not even in chapter 1 yet, and they're in, you know, chapter, you know, 19 going on chapter 20. And, you know, we just fall into that, you know, that gap thinking because we're trying to compare ourselves to others. And it's crippling. And so, you know, being able to, you know, be able to realize and step away from that. But yeah, I'm curious for you when, like you said, you started seeking, and is it like, was there a motive? I mean, other than, you know, hey, I got to figure something out. That's not real estate. I mean, was that really the driving force?
Well, what really happened is from April to August, over that 5 months, I spent over 200,000 in cash on trying not to be a real estate agent. So I bet I put all my chips in on myself. Now, here's the other thing is I was willing to invest in myself and try to figure something out. I actually invested 160,000 in 2 different Amazon stores. And this was a whole program, like a done for you Amazon store. I met this crew that was like, look, we've had, you know, I knew they had success on Amazon, and they're like, look, if you invest the money, we'll build everything. I thought win-win, right? I'll be the investor. They'll be the builders. We'll split profits. They were actually only looking for 30% of the profits, and I keep 70. And I thought, man, that's a killer deal. But I knew they also positioned it as a 2-year play, which I understood. So I was like, okay, that's just right now. So I need to do something else. So I spent $17,500 on a mentorship. I spent another $20,000 on courses. I bought like a wholesaling course. I bought a network marketing course. I bought some other, you know, Facebook lead generation course. And all I can say I got out of that stuff was a t-shirt, you know, but, you know, the thing is that I learned skills and I learned, you know, different things over those 5 months. And what happened was at the end of August, I was running out of money, and I was like, well, I've got to do something because none of this other stuff is really working. So I was like, well, I guess I'm going to be a real estate agent now, but, you know, what am I going to do? How am I didn't want to get into, you know, cold calling and door knocking and shaking hands and kissing babies, which nothing wrong with that stuff. I was just thinking there has to be a different way. Is there a way I can attract business? You know, just like agent attraction, I understood that concept, but I thought, what could I do client attraction? And especially with no experience as a residential real estate agent, really no brand, I was like, can I do that? So I just sat down and started to study. I think a lot of people get into real estate and then try to figure out a plan. I was kind of like, let me see if I can figure out a plan. And then if I figure out a plan, then I could see myself getting into real estate. So that's what I started researching. But the key thing for me was I was in the Honey Badger group. You know, I was in that Facebook group this whole time since 2019. You know, Michael had put me in there. So I was just monitoring activity. And I started to notice I started to notice, people at the top, because Jay was publishing that top 100 list. And so I was like, who are these people? Like I saw Gogo up there, I saw Gogo, and all of a sudden this girl Chauncey Pham, comes in, and all of a sudden she's got like 130 frontline agents. And then I started hearing about this, Kyle Handy, and Ricky Carruth. And I started looking at some of the top agent attractors, in EXP. And so I started looking at that, and I was like, what's the commonality? And what I realized is they have pretty strong YouTube presences, and so I was like, man, is YouTube something? Because I was thinking Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. And that's what a lot of people were directing me towards. Like, if you're going to be on social media, they're like, definitely Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Well, I had not really done any social media. I was never part of that group. I had never grown my Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok. I started out with 300 followers on my Instagram whenever I got into this. And so I was like, well, and none of them really set well with me. I didn't feel like they really fit my personality. And so whenever I noticed the top attractors in EXP, all had really strong YouTube presences, I thought maybe there's something in this YouTube thing. So I do what I usually do is I buy books first, and I bought like 8 different YouTube marketing books. And one of them, YouTube Secrets, was like really kind of hit home with me. That's when I started to understand YouTube's a search engine, not a social media platform. And people are on there searching, intentional people that are likely going to buy or sell sooner rather than later are searching on YouTube versus just randomly scrolling on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And, from what I could tell, I was like, well, shoot, I don't know anything about real estate, but I know everything about Dallas. And if people are actually searching things about Dallas, I could talk about Dallas all day long. So if I could create videos about Dallas versus trying to educate people on the VA loan or the title process or something that I really had no experience in, I thought, let me try that. And so then I just started to look at a ton of channels. I found like Think Media and Nick Nimmin and Dee Nimmin and Roberto Blake and Daryl Eves and these people that teach YouTube. And so I started to learn YouTube. I started to learn the platform. And once I started to really study the platform, I thought, okay, now how do I apply this to real estate? And, there was this one girl named Katie Day down in Houston, and I found her video, a pros and cons video, and it had like 50,000 views. And that's where it kind of clicked for me, like a pros and cons video. That's not like a listing video. It's not like a title video. It's not like here's the VA loan, And I thought pros and cons of Houston, 50,000 views. I was like, that's a lot of views. And that's when it started to click for me again. Oh, well, she's making content about Houston. And then I looked in Dallas, started looking in Dallas. I found this one channel that this guy had, he had about 7,000 subscribers. And I saw that he was kind of doing the same thing. And I thought, okay, but then there was really nobody else in Dallas. And I thought, is this the gap in the market? Is this where I could slip in and, actually have a position and figure out a way to do that? And so then I just went in all on that and started to build out a plan. So I took the next 60 days, and I love to say, you can hyper learn any subject, I believe, in 60 days in this day and age with all the information, blogs, vlogs, books, YouTube, Google. I mean, if you want to be the best postcard marketer on the planet, I believe if you study that over the next 60 days, you'll be better than 99% of the agents out there. Because I think most agents that even do postcard marketing probably just likely copied or duplicated somebody else's system. They didn't really take time to understand and learn postcard marketing. So if you actually dug into that over the next 60 days and really started to understand it, I believe you could wipe out the competition in your market. And so for me, that was YouTube. And I was like, let me dig into YouTube. So 60 days, I was just hardcore hyper learning, watching as much as I could, reading as much as I could. And I actually wrote out a business plan, for YouTube. And I don't think anybody ever really does that either whenever they approach social media. They don't say, let me write out a business plan. Now, let me actually understand the platform first. And then how do I apply that to real estate? And so, and now I say, look, if you treat YouTube like a hobby, it'll pay you like a hobby. If you treat it like a business, it'll pay you like a business. And so, actually writing out a business plan, understanding and knowing what I was going to film the first 3 to 4 months gave me clarity and comfort to get started, because I didn't just film a video and then wonder what was I going to do next, or just publish that video and then just say, well, let's see what happens. I was like, I know what I want to film for the next 4 months. Okay, I've got all my videos. I just need to stay on track. Plus, I understood consistency, learning from all those YouTubers. They talk about consistency and frequency and, times, so all of that. So I had an idea. I didn't know if any of it was going to work, but I had an idea of, okay, I'm going to publish 3 times a week. I'm going to publish, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays. Well, then I'm going to try Sundays, Wednesdays, Friday, So I had this all laid out. And then it was a matter of just getting started and start, filming content. And, 90 days later, got the first deal under contract. And then from there, it just started to snowball. Ended up closing the first 2 transactions in April of 2021. So I'd never sold a home in 2020, did not sell a home in Q1 of 2021. In the last 9 months of 2021, and then I partnered up with Travis around that time when we got the first deal under contract. We closed in our first year, closed 64 transactions, 33.5 million, and right at $1,006,000 in GCI. So we were able to say, we hit $1 million in our first year in commissions. And this year, 2022, it looks like right now we should close close to 100 million, if not right at 100 million in production. I mean, it's absolutely insane. And I think we're up to 190 transactions this year. And from the channel, I mean, it's absolutely bonkers. Now that clearly slowed down a little bit in the second half of the year, but we were blowing and going the first 6-7 months. I mean, it was pandemonium the first half of this year, but the channel has helped us weather this storm on the back half. So I think it's more important than ever for agents to stay as visible as possible. And whatever it is you're doing, double down on content, double down on phone calls, double down on text, emails, whatever it is you can do. It was funny. I was actually speaking at an event yesterday in Houston, and what was his name? Anyways, it was Veronica Figueroa's operations manager. He was there, and he got up there and he's like, look, we're down 40% in our leads from last year. So you think about Figueroa team being, the mega icon #1 team in EXP, and they're down 40%. However, their appointments are up 82% year over year because he said, what did we do? We increased our phone calls by 137%. We increased our text messages by 113%. And we increased our emails by 235%. So they increased their output, and now they're up. Even though lead flow is down 40%, appointments are up. So I just believe in, and picking one platform. That's the other thing. I understood from the beginning too. I knew I wanted to do it through social or on one of these platforms, but I knew I wanted to pick one platform first, because I think a lot of agents start out and everyone says, hey, you got to be everywhere, right? You need to start your Facebook, your Instagram, your TikTok, your LinkedIn, your Twitter. Okay. And you need to be everywhere so you can, but then they end up putting 20% effort across 5 different platforms instead of 100% effort into one. And I truly believe when you really get good at one platform, it's so much easier to branch out to the other platforms. But if you start out with 5 in the beginning, you're never really going to truly understand and master one of them. So pick your lane, go run down that and go as far and deep as possible. And then when you got a good grasp on things, start to branch out from there.
Really this, I appreciate that, the whole really, meaning and power behind, these conversations with the Expert Mentor series is really, about, bringing in, these honey badgers like yourself that are doing just extraordinary things and just really wanting to give back. And so, get to share with us a little bit, because, I think everybody's at the point, they're believers now, right? They're believers. There's enough proof. Things are working. You're right. Right. I think they're to that point, yet they still get paralyzed. So what would you tell, somebody listening in right now, like, Levi, you're right. Where do I start? What do I do first?
Oh, well, it's funny. I actually just did I think I did a podcast on this. Actually, I recorded a video. I haven't published that video on our YouTube channel yet, but I was talking about getting started on YouTube, at least on YouTube. And really, I think this applies to almost anything you want to do. Is I want to say, #1 is first of all, decide where you want to go. And are you meaning in general? Or are you talking about YouTube in general?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think what you're going to share is principle driven and it applies
Yeah.
to whatever they're wanting to do. So I think that's, and I mean, we're honey badgers, right?
Yeah.
So, we really run from, principle driven that we could take these processes and apply them to whatever we want to do.
Yeah. So here's the principles is I think, first of all, figure out who you are as a person. How do you want to generate business? So are you a people person? Are you a reader and writer? Are you a phone call person or are you a video person? So first of all, YouTube's not for everybody. So first of all, figure out where you might be a phone call person. Maybe getting on video scares you to death and meeting people in person scares you to death, like cold meeting people, just going out and shaking hands and kissing babies. But you could call people all day long. Okay, well then, who can you call? You can call FSBOs, you can call expireds, you can call your sphere, you can cold call. So who do you want to target? I was talking about that this morning. So I went on to Amazon and just searched FSBO books. I pulled up 12, just from the start, 12 different FSBO books, how to sell FSBOs. So if you're a phone call person and you want to target FSBOs, start there, get the books, start with research, or say, figure out who you are and then research. Now, this doesn't mean get into analysis paralysis and you're going to research for the next year. It means going into hyper learning. It means buy those 12 books and you read a book a day if you have to, or you get the audio book and listen to it on 1.5 or 1.75 speed so you can get through it in 5 hours, 4 hours versus it's an 8-hour book, which I do that all the time. I listen to every book at 1.5 speed, and at least, actually, they say two times speed. You can still process that. That's a little bit fast for me, but I like 1.5. You'll cut a book time in half, and so so figure out which lane you want to go down. Do the research, hyper learn over the next 60 days. Build out your plan. And then you have to implement, so really I would say give yourself that 60-day window once you figure that out. And that's the same with YouTube. If you want it to be YouTube, you could go that route. Now, all the information is out there on YouTube or on calling FSBOs or on calling expireds or, doing the best open house there is. But if you have no money, now, if you have money, I would buy somebody's course, that too. Somebody's got a course on FSBOs. Somebody's got a course on open houses. Somebody's got a course. Well, we've got a course on YouTube, but that's going to shortcut if you've got the funds to do that. If you don't have that, then the information is out there. So, if you want to be on video, I think video gives you the absolute best return out there because what I say is that YouTube does not take you time. YouTube makes you time, and YouTube also compounds your time. So, for example, one video we made, it took us 30 minutes to film. No big deal. It's been watched over 10,000 hours. So that's like getting a return of a profit of 9,995 hours on that 30-minute investment. First of all. Second of all, our channel was watched 1,514 hours in one day, 1,514 hours in one day. That's equivalent to 63 days. And 63 days is 2.1 months. So our channel in one day prospected for us 2.1 months worth of prospecting. Where else can you get that return? Okay. You can't cold call that. You can't have a team of 10 ISAs cold calling that much for you to get that return. Our channel in 1 month in July was watched 11,800 hours. That's equivalent to 1.34 years. So in 1 month time frame, our channel prospected 1.34 years. Where else can you get that return? And the thing is that we might have been at a conference that day or that month, or we might have been at 2 conferences, or we might have been on vacation, and the channel was still prospecting for us, not just minute by minute, but in multiples of minutes and hours every single day. Just in the first 18 months, it was watched 130,400 hours in the first 18 months. That's equivalent to 14.88 years. So just in the first 18 months of our real estate career, our channel prospected for us 10.5 years. And that's if you were sitting down trading for hour, minute for minute. Yeah. Think about how powerful that is. So I believe that's the best investment of your time is video, because people that say they don't have time to make video, I say, well, that's exactly why you should make video. Because if you don't have time to make a video, then your time is not leveraged properly. And so anybody can carve out 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours a week to do this. And I believe video is really the true 4-hour work week. Everybody loves that book, The 4-Hour Work Week, but that's very difficult to do. But, you can if you made 4 hours of video per week, that is going to absolutely blow up your business. Really, what's funny is I spend the least amount of my time making video in this business now. And people think that I'm just sitting here making video 8 hours a day because they see the content coming out and it appears to them that it's that much, but it's not. It's just not the case. So I spend the least amount of my time making video, which is the number one driver to our entire business. It's what's fueled everything.
What do you see, with people trying to jump in? They're like, Levi, got it. Hey, I'm going to figure this thing out. Where do you see, a couple things that they miss, right? Where it may not work for them? Like what are a couple, like, hey, you got to watch out for this. Like, these are like non-negotiables.
Yeah. Inconsistency. I mean, if you're inconsistent on anything, I think it's the one common trait I look at across any successful person. Now, some people become successful in a month, some a year, some 10 years. But that, the thing is that they were very successful, or very consistent in that month or that year or that 10 years, especially the 10-year person, right? They were extremely consistent. So inconsistency will definitely kill your channel. It'll kill your drive. It'll kill your motivation, because guess what? The longer in between you do something, the harder it gets to restart it. Just like with the gym, if you go to the gym sporadically, what's the hardest day to go to the gym? Monday. When I was in the Army, we did physical training tests. You had to do these tests so that to stay in the Army. So they would test you on push-ups, how many push-ups you could do in 2 minutes, how many sit-ups, and what you could run a 2-miler in. Well, my philosophy was, when do I feel the worst? It's usually whenever I take a day off or 2 days off, or I'm out partying all weekend, in the military, and then I come in on Monday, and I said, when do I feel the best? I feel the best in the gym on a Friday or a Saturday, because I'm sore, but I'm working through it, and I'm in the momentum, right? I've gotten up early every single day, and I've made it. And so my philosophy was, I'm not going to rest a day or two before a PT test. I'm going to work up to that PT test. And then that way the PT test just becomes another training day versus, oh my goodness, we got a PT test tomorrow, instead of freaking out about it, or, people would get nervous. They'd be like, oh, I'm nervous about the test. I'm like, well, no, I'm just going to work up to even the day before. Cause if I start out a little bit sore, you work through that, you get through it. But I feel better when I'm doing that versus coming from a cold start. Same thing with a car, right? I mean, you go out and try to start the car in the cold, it's a lot harder to start. But once it starts running and you get on cruise control, and, so all that applies. It's the same thing with video or anything I think you do in your life. Inconsistency is going to kill you quicker than anything. And that's where discipline comes in, because, I don't know. A lot of people are talking about motivation these days, which I like. I don't know if I've ever really been a motivated guy. I may look like I'm motivated, but it's really because I just don't stop. I keep moving forward. I keep working. I don't know. There's really not a lot of days I wake up and be like, right, can't wait to make videos today and then talk to people. And that, I would rather be on an island in Belize, really,
I had a client send me this yesterday. To that point, says motivation often follows action, not the other way around. And you're right. I mean, motivation is one of those internal things, and it's really hard to tap into the good side of motivation. And really the only way you're really going to get there is you have to act your way into it. And, that's why, Mel Robbins has probably one of the best tools, right? The 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, move, action, move your body, go. And so it's just always a great reminder, because I'm like you, man, I didn't want to come back last week. I'd love to still be sitting on St. Thomas right now.
Yeah.
Yet, just have to act our way into what it is that we're trying to accomplish.
Yep. And motion creates emotion. That was that's Boiler Room. That was Boiler Room 2000, right? The movie's like
best movies ever.
Get up off your ass. Motion creates emotion. Yeah. And let's go. Get it.
So I want to, shift over to a little bit about the partner side of things, because, I think it's also realizing kind of our strengths and our weaknesses, and really trying to look at, okay, what is my superpower, right? Because we all have that unique ability, something that we're kind of the best in the world at. We just have to, create the awareness of that. And, you know, realizing at what point, kind of talk us into, where Travis, or just an example of bringing a partner into the business. It's one of the questions I get asked all the time, and I'm pro partner.
Yeah.
And so it's really like, where does that make sense? And so kind of talk through that decision-making process for you.
Well, for me, it was I knew I wanted a partner from the beginning. So first of all, I think being in the mindset of looking for that. So, and the thing is, like once you put that out there, I believe in the law of attraction, but I also believe in the law of attraction with action. So first of all, so I was looking for a partner from the beginning because I'd been in sales. I've been in sales for the last 20 years. And I've always done it myself, one-to-one, face-to-face, belly-to-belly. And I was just ready for a different chapter in my life. And so, the other thing is I was like, look, if I get into real estate, that's the other thing I told myself is I was going, if I could find a partner and I could figure out the marketing or the attraction side of the business to bring business in, and I could just handle that, and somebody could do the transactions, that would actually be much better, because I wasn't really interested in, again, like I said, ever since 2002, I've never been interested in being a real estate agent. No disrespect to agents, I just didn't have the interest in being that.
Sure.
And so I knew from the beginning, I was like, well, if I could find a partner that wants to do transactions, that would be really, really cool. But I started anyways. And what's funny is I started the channel December 5th of 2020, first video. Somewhere in December, I actually met Travis for the first time over at Michael Reese's house. And I tell you what, that guy's like, he is the rock in your shoe, a good rock in your shoe though. But I never really go to Michael's house. And the thing is I just happened to go over there on a random Saturday or something. I was in the area and I thought, let me stop by, see what Michael's up to. And there was Travis, so we met, and I was like, all right, it seemed like a cool guy. And then that was it. And so anyways, Travis kind of tracked me down and started asking questions. He saw what I started to do on YouTube, and then we started to hang out a little bit, and we just got to know each other better. And then one thing that Travis said to me that I'll never forget is he was like, dude, I want to sell 100 homes in a month or in a year. He was like, I want to sell 100 homes in a year. And I was like, oh, this might be my transaction guy, And the funny thing is Travis was transitioning out of a marketing agency he was involved with, and he didn't want to do marketing. He wanted to do transactions. So I was transitioning out of sales, and I wanted to do marketing and not sales. And so that's how we kind of linked up. And then the first deals, the first calls and started to come in, and we happened to be together and hanging out at the same spot, working on some stuff. And he was like, dude, he's like, just give them to me. I'll hand, I'll take it. And I was like, okay. I was like, all right, take it, and, but I also gave a few people, I found a couple of other agents I started to give a couple of deals to at first as well. So I kind of divvied it up to 3 different agents. Travis was the most consistent, keeping me up to date, started closing deals. That's when the market really started to pick up. And then there was multiple offers. The other 2 were starting to lose offers, started to not communicate with me, started to, feel entitled or say, why are you giving that guy a deal? Give me all the referrals. And I was like, no, let me, and so the other 2 kind of eliminated themselves, in my opinion. And Travis was just there going. And so we ended up working together over the next 6 months or so, really just kind of work dating, because that's the great thing about real estate is you can pass somebody a deal and get a referral fee. So I thought, why rush into anything? Let's see how each other operates first. And I'll just refer him the deals, let him close it. And as long as I see good things, then I would be a lot more comfortable. And so that's how we kind of just led into it. And then as we got to know each other a lot better, we're both military backgrounds. We both just have similar likes, interests, think a lot of the same, but I think our skill sets are different, and so, yeah. And so I again, where he wanted to be the transactional side, the sales side. I wanted to be marketing. I'm moving into a visionary role, or I moved into the visionary role because I've been an integrator for the last 20 years and I was ready for that next chapter in my life. So, and I think Travis, wants to be the closer. And so that it just, things started to kind of piece together. And then we decided to make it official probably about 8 or 9 months later.
Yeah, no, I love that. And, a couple key points in there, right? You find that the compliment, and it's just no different with me and, me and Kinder. Kinder was the visionary, running, wide open, like, I always say like a rowboat with a couple go fast, motors on the back. And, that's where I was able to come in, before integrator was an integrator, and really, solidified that role and put, kept the train on the tracks. And, yeah, it's one of those things. You've got to find, the complement to what it is you're trying to achieve. And the other key thing that you said in there, and I think this is just a little, reminder for everybody listening in, is you need to spend some time dating before you hitch the wagon in that business partnership dynamic. It's super, super important to have that. I mean, that's typically what, I see. One mistake is that you got two people that are the same. The other mistake is that you rush into it too quick before you get to see the real workings and inner workings and challenges and how do you respond. And so it's just really, really important. And then the other is just really nail the agreement. What is our agreement? This is what I do. This is what you do. This is our agreement over the next 90 days, 180 days. This is how we're going to measure success. We'll step back. We'll reevaluate. But really those three key things, I think if you really think through that, you can really set up something really cool, something really, really special. So Levi, as we're kind of wrapping up here, I would love your take, kind of what you're seeing, kind of excited as we're at this time of the year, as we're recording this today, beginning part of December of 22. And, it's just interesting time in the marketplace. I know you're in a massive market, and then also I know there's a lot of people that are having a lot of success with this video, content, YouTube concept, and they're in smaller markets. They're all over the country. But from your vantage point, you've been in a lot of rooms. You've talked to a lot of people. You guys are having a lot of success. What are you kind of anticipating, forecasting, seeing as we head into 23?
In real estate in general?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we're excited, more excited than ever. I mean, for us, we are, I think you're either a victim or the victor of the situation. And so we're choosing to be the victor. We were just talking on our team meeting this morning. We're implementing some paid strategies. What we've been able to build organically through YouTube has been absolutely amazing. However, we don't want all of I believe put all your eggs in one basket when you start. But as soon as you can start to diversify, again, like at the beginning, whenever I said pick one social media, then branch out, start to diversify. So now, we just hired a couple of ISAs to start working on getting us listings. They're already starting to turn over appointments. We are working on a new ad strategy that we're going to implement to get more listings that way. And then we have the buyers. I mean, we have buyers. That's a lot of buyers come in through YouTube, because those are the people that actually out there searching. But now we're starting to feature listings on our channel. And so we're getting more people wanting to list and people wanting us to film their properties. So again, I think it just goes into visibility. Again, you may have all the skill in the world, but if you're not visible, then the more visible agent with less skill is going to get the business from you, because what people see is really on the surface, so if they see the people that are the most active and the most busy, that's who they're going to want to work with. So, I think, yes, has things slowed down in this back half of the year? Yeah, absolutely. But, we're not going to let that. We know that homes are bought and sold every single day. They're in every single market, up, down, sideways, upside down. It doesn't matter. We just have to be the ones that people find and earn their trust and respect. It's easy to do that with YouTube. I mean, everybody that comes in from the channel, already knows us, has a relationship with us, wants to work with us. I mean, it's a game changer. But, you know, on these other strategies where now we got ISAs turning over, you know, we want to start, you know, farming out some of these neighborhoods, kind of going back to some of the old school, I would say old school or traditional ways of marketing, because, you know, once you get into, you know, conversion or leads and appointments and conversion, that's a lot easier to scale. You know, an organic strategy from YouTube, it's kind of like, well, views were up in August, but our lead count was down. What's up with that? You know, shouldn't if we get more views that we should get more calls? But that was whenever there was a huge shift in interest rates. Now we had a video that really took off and it did get us more views than ever on the channel, but then we saw leads come down. So, you know, and continually producing content, all of our videos are very steady Eddie. We have videos here or there that take off. And you know, we're going to map that out over this, you know, now that we have a full year and last year's worth of data, and see if we can kind of predict a little bit more on the organic side. But we don't want to just be focused on that. So we're diversifying. We're going to move into paid strategies. So our, you know, our story, I would say, of building $100 million real estate business is probably coming to an end, but I think it's a worthwhile story. And, you know, some people don't ever reach that goal. Some people, it takes 5-10 years to get. And I thought that would be the case for me. You know, when I was sitting in Key West with you guys 3 years ago, I had no idea. I mean, I was hearing the numbers from the real estate team, and I was just like, "How is that?" I was like, "That's crazy. That's a lot of, you know, that's a lot of business, you know." And I just thought it was crazy, you know. And I just thought, and when I started, I was kind of like, "Man, I don't know." You know, I still had some of those self-doubts, but I'm a worker. It's the whole reason Michael Reese has been trying to get me into real estate, you know, for 20 years, because I know he knows who I am. He knows I'm a worker. He knows I'm a guy that's going to figure it out. And he knows when I figure it out, I'm going to go hard. I did not come into real estate to be average. Right. Yeah, I did not come in to be just a regular agent. Whenever I made the decision, okay, I'm moving in that direction, I came in to figure out how to be the best I could possibly be. And the one thing, the really driving force, was Michael said it took Jay Kinder 5 years to hit his first million in GCI, I believe, in a 1 year time frame. So Michael wanted to do that in 3, and Michael did that in 3, and we did it our first year. So as long as I beat Michael, then then it's all good. That's my level of success.
Yeah, well, you know, it's a little bit tougher when you're selling, you know, $75,000, you know, homes. So no, it's all good. It is impressive, and definitely, you know, kudos to you guys, man. It's inspiring, and definitely, you know, opens up some eyes to be able to model after. And so I appreciate you jumping in and you know, sharing your story, sharing where you guys are at. It's really what this whole Expert Mentor series is about, and really true, and, you know, not only being a honey badger, but like I said, being a true expert mentor and really pouring into people. Levi, if they want to connect with you guys, what's the best way? And also, you know, check out the channel.
Yeah, I mean, you can go onto YouTube if you search passiveprospecting.com or passive prospecting on YouTube, but you can also go to passiveprospecting.com, which we didn't even really get into all of that. We do have a book coming out probably February called Passive Prospecting. I'm super excited about it because this is the concept that we're talking about. You know, everybody loves the idea of passive income, but we all know that passive income takes work in the beginning, you know, to build something that's going to give you that return in the back end. Well, think about in the matter of I've been in sales for 20 years, love sales, hated prospecting, because I felt like I always spent 90% of my time prospecting and 10% of my time with actual clients. And so that's what I love about video. And that's the concepts and the principles and the fundamentals we're going to be talking about in the book, is how you can do the work on one video and let that video go to work for you. And it is passively prospecting for you 24/7, 365. And not even that, it's prospecting for you in multiples, because you can gain eyeballs from not just your market, but from the US, from the country. I mean, we've helped people move from Japan from Australia, from South Africa, from the UK, Canada. And where did they find us? They found us on YouTube because the channel was passively prospecting for us, even in the middle of the night. So whenever it's actually 9 a.m. in the UK and it's 2 a.m. for us, those people are finding us. So that's the power of passive prospecting. So go to passiveprospecting.com.
Cool. Brother, appreciate you. Always great connecting, catching up. And, you guys listening in, make sure you give Levi lots of love, some kudos. Check out passiveprospecting.com, and we'll catch you guys on the next episode. See ya.
Thank you, John.
See you, bud.